We are live.
We're going to edit so much out of this.
We're going to edit this. We're going to edit a lot of this. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our listeners.
To the collective, Coaching Collective
Welcome
podcast.
to the Coaching Collective podcast. Yes.
What a clusterfuck.
One of the best intros I've heard. Welcome to the Coaching Collective podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ed Hamilton, and this is my co-host,
Paul Blackford.
And we are coaches down in southwest of WA in a little town called Dunsborough, out at the Movement Fitness. We are the sort of, founding kind of coaches of the Coaching Collective, a passion project of ours of networking and building relationships within, the wider community of coaches, particularly obviously in the southwest region for now.
In an endeavour to, share experiences and knowledge to all that community, bring everyone together, and connect.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we're both super passionate about, and we'll kind of get into a little bit more background of ourselves a bit more, but it is that networking, it is that community aspect of the craft of, what it is that we do. The craft of coaching in all aspects, from the business side of things to the hands-on training aspects to client relationships to as many things that you can think of. And I think that's the biggest thing. And the tricky thing to navigate within our space is the multitude of tasks you take on as a trainer and a coach, and particularly on this endeavor, trying to help and guide and support, those who are new to the industry. And we'll kind of touch on those topics, a little bit more as we dive into the questions. But that's also another thing that we've been sort of the I don't know, I'm gonna say the old dogs in it now. I know I've been in the industry for over 11 years, so I kind of feel a bit more like a veteran in certain aspects, and still very new in certain aspects. I think particularly with the way that the industry is growing, you kind of can be overwhelmed with the amount of stuff out there and the amount of stuff you feel like you need to know or should know, when hopefully this podcast, the collective, can give some light and point people in the right direction as to actually what's kind of most relevant.
That's probably a good point, especially because one of the other founding coaches is relatively new, and this is Summer Jones, and she feels always like she's behind the eight ball in what she knows, even though looking in, us looking down her with her sessions and the way she delivers the clients she has, she's doing a great job. But because of that knowledge overwhelm, it's just, it's so hard to know kind of which direction to commit to. I'm definitely going to touch a little bit more on that when we get into our main topic for today. But
I think that's probably the hardest part, when you're coming in and there's so much information and you've yet to have your own experiences which will kind of guide you into the niche that you end up endeavoring doing. Every single person that I know, it works with the people that is relevant to their own history, right? So if we're talking about myself working and my business being Odyssey Southwest, working in the world of dealing with people in long-term pain, chronic pain, the idea of getting back to functioning, doing daily tasks, and then functioning back to all the things that they want to do in life, all the needs and the wants that they have. That has come from my own, story and history with pain and a back injury when I was young, and navigating that journey myself, and coming to the conclusion that, the thing that is missing within our healthcare space, and it's definitely more prevalent, and businesses are kind of pushing into that now, but the coach being that preventative healthcare solution, and then for me, that's where I know for you, it's where we sit in that space of wanting to be, if mine's coming from the aspect of being in pain, yours being now pushing in, obviously in the last little while, to bulletproofing 40 over 40, right? Like stepping into that milestone. And I think you said on previous podcasts before, it's like, or previous conversations before, sorry, that, you know, you were a yes man to any client, and we all were, and it's like, that is all part of solving the problem. And I think maybe in some cases, I know, for some, but like all new coaches out there, in that saying yes to everything, you are dealing with not your niche. You are solving problems left, right, and center that are so different, and that you think that you should be an expert in all of these different things that pop up. And that's, I think, where the confusion gets to, until you can sort of create the systems and then niche down and then push into your target sort of market. But I think that's where the challenge lies, is just like we said, the starting ground for coaches.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind. Let's jump into this question, because we've been banging this around for a few weeks in regards to what we would like to see changed right now in the fitness industry. And I'm just going to start off with, I guess, a preamble and something you just reminded me of, which is that allied health professional connection into our clients. And there's definitely a pattern, which is there's a big lack of trust from the allied health professional and health professional space to our industry as fitness professionals. And it's rightly so, because there's very little standardization, very little knowledge, I feel, in that space about what we can potentially do as a coach for our clients. And something, you know, that I would like to see changed is that it's actually that trust, that bridge building towards, you know, client or patients, leaving that space of getting back to base function and moving into a space of getting to, you know, optimal capacity, capability, and functionality. So
I think that's the conversation we have that just leaks into where you start with that, is the systemizing the education, and also standardizing the education, meaning like that allied healthcare professionals knows that personal trainer is, you know, educated, proficient in ... these areas of all topics that they would need to know, similar to like a physio. So the degree in which it needs to be, that we talk about, to become a coach, to become a trainer, needs to be, you know, more intensive. It needs to be able to weed out those that are maybe just using this as a summer job, as a you know, as a, I'll do this in online time in my spare time, and side hustle, and okay, cool. How do we, in order to professionalize the coaching, the onboarding process needs to be, I want to say more challenging, but for those that are committed to it, right? It's like, you know, if you're going to try to be a surgeon, you know what lies ahead. And I think in our industry, you know, and I know there are people obviously working out there, and we've taken courses, and there's definitely a push into this, and we're not this like solo voice in that, and hopefully, you know, we can be a small voice, or you know, be able to be, I guess, with the intent of this podcast is to hear more people's opinion. And if we come up with we hear common or a collective experience that people are having, and you know, from having conversations with trainers and new trainers coming in, they generally say, I don't feel prepared to coach clients after my certification. And it's like, what are we doing? You know, like, how are we not setting these guys up for success more? And then, you know, you always learn on the job. You're always going to learn on the job, and you can't beat experience. But for someone to be fearing that they're going to have someone's body in their hands, like it's something that we obviously talk about it, and it's why we start this podcast, because we talk about things a lot. But, you know, you can have a really big impact on someone's life, you know, and you're in control of a lot of things. And I think it's the issue sometimes from, say, that onboarding is people wanting to keep the fitness industry like simplistic, and it's not. It's not. Like, movement 100%. And like in the realm of that space is super complex. You know, like, and there'll be something down the road that we were like excited to do. We're getting some people on talking about like, I know Donnie and that, like that we can dive into that stuff a little bit more about pain and how does pain work and all this stuff. And I know that's niching out to kind of like one area, but like it's a common thing because we've been in that space again of what do I do if my client's thing hurts?
Yeah.
What do I do if my client's shoulder hurts? What do I do what's the modification for this? And like, you just lose confidence.
But that's an interesting point. I feel like the certification really sort of tries to wrap a bubble around the trainee, the person getting those certs, and it steers them towards a risk-averse mode of operation.
And this is coming from you recently doing...
Right.
Being a mentor to a coach.
Yeah, so I've been a mentor a few times to a few different coaches and trainees who've become or are becoming PTs, and just the experience is that they underestimate. I believe they underestimate, for starters, what they're in for in regards to getting into the industry. And as I've grown as a coach and definitely taken on more info, more knowledge, I see that is such an inadequate entry point. Just that. I feel like like you said, the starting point is when you finish those certifications, and from there the learning begins. I've got an example of a young fellow that I'm mentoring at the moment, and he's taken the path of signing up with a franchise where he's going to be delivering fitness sessions and whatnot to disabled potentially through NDIS and whatnot. So there's a big task there for him moving out of that very generic Cert 3, Cert 4 into a space where the responsibility is for a body that's not even it's potentially not even a normal functioning body. There's a lot for him to take on as a new coach. And he's currently doing that learning with that franchise. So my understanding is they have more education in and around that to prepare him for that. And I said to him, I'm really excited for him to do that specific stuff and dial in on that specific stuff, because when we talk about coming out of our certs and getting into the world and learning, it's through repetition, and it's through being exposed to different things. You and I both know that we've learned so much from our own bodies and application of what we're learning on our own bodies, and we can dig into that a little bit more if you want. But it's through the case studies and through actually experiencing the problems that you have as a PT that we've seen most of the coaches we interact with organically grow. My thought for the collective, the coaching collective, is like every single person in the collective is going to have had an experience or multiple experiences like that, and that is a treasure trove of wealth of knowledge for us to tap into. Us being all the coaches.
It's almost like that Cert 3-4 needs to be act like a bridging course. And it's like, cool, you did that. You're not ready to take anyone on, and we don't expect you to. But if you pass that and you're serious about stepping into this, okay, here's the actual, degree that you need to go and do to be. It's like, cool, now you're at uni. Now you actually get to go and do the accounting course or whatever it is that you want to go and do. And here's the amount of, syllabus, and here's the semesters that you're going to have, and here are the lectures that you have to attend, and here's this. And that could be, I know there's so many companies out there that are niching and specializing, and some are being broader and trying to cover all concepts like an OPEX, like trying to cover so much of that and have that ability to be that classroom for anyone coming on. I guess, like you said, from our point of view with the collective is, we know we're not experts in every field. And the concept is bring experts or people that are passionate about a field that come with a wealth of knowledge together and share that knowledge for the benefit of others to become better. And we spoke about that in the intro to the collective. It's like that post that we shared, and shout out to Jordan Shallow for sharing that one, but about literally sharing. Like the art of sharing has disappeared to the fact that we need instant gratification for something that we put out there, a click, a like, a comment, great post or this or that or whatever, versus like sharing because you generally want to see someone do better.
Yeah.
With nothing expected in return, right? Or nothing wanted in return, but besides the fact that like you're solving a problem or helping someone
Grow.
grow, but not even maybe solving a problem, maybe just, we speak about it as well, like giving them a different lens to look something through. And I think that's like what you said, that the collective can be that lens where you're going to have different perspectives and different ways of considering, certain topics that pop up, and making sure that it is a consideration and it's not a, this is right, this is wrong, but it's a, hey, I've had that with a client and this is the things that I've implemented. Okay, cool. And so, even if it's going to be a while until we can change that baseline certification, okay, like we said, there are so many people who have been in the industry that have just gone, it needs to be better. So that's why we have training think tanks and an OPEXs and active lifers and prescripts and these amazing courses that are out there for the coaches who are stepping in to take. And obviously, sometimes it's hard, it's not realistic. They're expensive, they're an investment, and so if you're a young kid coming out of Cert 3 and 4 and you don't know where to go, and you look at the courses and you're like, this one's $6,000, this one's $2,000, this one's on this topic, this one's on this topic, but I get X and I get this. I don't even know what I want to do. Where should I spend my money? And it's like, I don't have any money. What do I do? It's like, I don't have any experience. It's like, okay, the goal with the collective is to have a community where, hey, have you just finished your Cert 3 and 4? Cool. The first thing you need to do is network.
Yeah.
You need to get in and you need to meet people within the industry.
To see what you like.
To see what you like.
Connect with.
And see what's out there and see what people have done and, just create some referrals, create some relationships. And, for us, the passion lies, like we said at the start, in the craft of coaching. Like, seeing a coach have those aha moments or we hear it all the time at the gym when we have our meetings, like, oh, it was so cool, my client did X, Y, Z. Like your client, for instance, like losing that much weight or going for the continuous run that he hadn't even thought about doing. And you see it in the passion on your face of just like, you're so happy, and like, for me, it's like the thing that we want to be a part of, something bigger than ourselves. Like that collective, this concept can be way bigger than anything we could do.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a community.
Yeah. It's that community. Yeah.
Yeah, and just
everyone's tapping in.
Yeah, everyone's tapping in. Yeah, and being binded by the thing that connects us all, which is the craft.
Yeah.
We are coaches. We are trainers. We all, if you've been in it, you know what it's like getting up at 4:30 and having clients at 5. I'm still doing it, and you're 10 years in, right? Like clients, and you're working from 5 to whatever, and then it's the programming, and then it's the work-life balance, and as you grow, and it's not the same as it was when I was 20, and I could spend 13 hours at the gym, train twice a day,
and now there's babies,
now there's babies, and my babies, not just random babies. There's like growing families and stuff, and so it's just one of those things that you have to adapt and learn it all. But as a baseline, as a starting point, and even for us, like starting this, and we have our gang and our community going at the moment, and it's like, there are so many great questions being fired out. There are so many people that have been in the space for so long that are benefiting from just having the ability to throw a question out there or throw some feedback of their own or be in a discussion. May not just consuming the discussion and being like, wow, I never really thought of it.
My favourite part so far has just been getting something unexpected from a question that I've thrown out, a response or an answer or an experience that's just, off the cuff, and that's what I'm excited about. It's because there's so much out there that we haven't seen, or that you haven't seen or experienced. And, you get to throw in there and say, hey, what's everyone done around this space? That's really, really exciting. To tap into that.
Yours was, what's one thing you'd like to see change was sort of that allied healthcare professional space, and
that and I'm honestly, that's literally come up just during this conversation. I don't think the answer is to change the the core certification. I think that's like baseline. Needs to happen. It does a lot of good things around risk mitigation and risk management, understanding a workplace for the young crew. And I've entered this industry as a mature ager, so I was in another industry for 15 years prior to, so I cut my teeth there, and a very different industry. And so coming in with that experience has really given me a different perspective on, the young crew coming through and just getting a cert, and the expectations in and around that if that's their first push into a career. But I think a lot of it does come down to the person as well, and understanding, like, I guess what they want out of it, and not just seeing it as like, hey, this is something easy. I don't think that's fair on clients. I don't think that's fair on that person to just think like, hey, it's a stopgap. I really want to see more professionalism in the industry. So if very succinctly, professionalism. That would be good. How about you?
What would I like to see change? I mean, like, it's obviously we're connected by the same goal, and we kind of have spoken about this, I guess, and this is obviously being biased towards just the course that I've done with like Prescript and honing in and looking at myself 5 months ago being like, cool, you knew nothing and you've been in this industry 10 years. And I say know nothing in terms of the space that I'm super passionate about, right? So human function, the body, having the ability to see the system of the way that this thing operates, and then how that applies when you apply it to the mechanics of training, right? It's like a car. It's like the engine works a certain way. It has to do X, Y, Z before it can do this. I know nothing about cars, so you hear my good analogies, but like,
use cars. Let's go with that. If you use the human body.
But it is like that. It's kind of, for me, it's like cutting out some of the smoke and mirrors out there around movement, when you can actually dive in and just a big advocate for understanding anatomy and function, and how that can help you be a more effective coach through exercise selection, through assessment, through programming progressions, understanding clients' pains, discomforts, and then having a roadmap as to where to look for the solution. Because for me, like, I'll be honest, like, I'm not very good at the other stuff. I only really have one passion, and that's like human movement. Like, I just geek out on it, and I want to get better and better and better at it. And having said that, for me, it is my way of connecting with people. It is my way of communicating with people, because when people come to see me and they have a problem, they have a high value problem that, hasn't been solved, and they've gone through the healthcare system, and they've gone through their chiros and the physios and the doctors and the GPs, and they've had this injection or this surgery, and yet they still find themselves to be baffled by the fact that they're still in pain, tends to be the fact that the underlying issues aren't being addressed. And the main thing that we kind of see from that is that, a long-term strength and conditioning program hasn't been implemented. It's like, cool, this is going to take a while. Let's get out of this healthcare space where it's like, if you take this drug, you'll be fine. If you take this injection, you'll probably solve your problems.
Humans are really good at finding a quick, the quick and nasty, or like, we want that quick satisfaction, quick solution. But that's not how the good stuff works.
No. And it's like, all of that, and it's all of those conversations that I get to have with people, like, particularly with my crew, my team of clients and new clients, and I just say to them at the start, I'm just like, the whole purpose of Odyssey is to be a mentor, to be a guide. Like, I don't necessarily even want to be your trainer. I want to teach you how to do these things, so that you don't have to become reliant on me, because right now you're relying on 3 people to hold your body together with bloody sticky tape. It's like, that's not a way, that's not going to be how you're going to function for the next 30 years, right? And to see the wins that we've had and continue to have, and even when we were doing like MAP back in the day, and we fucking knew nothing. PVC pullovers and like things I know now, it's just hilarious. But, you know, you have good intention and you hit something with a thought process. I'm going to implement this because X, Y, Z. Because your pecs are stiff, so we're going to go through this exercise to release your pec. Okay, cool. Let's just be consistent with that. Hey, look, there's some wins. There's some results. Okay, learn a little bit more. COVID happens. Take a course. Active life. All right, now I've learned how to assess people better. Cool. All right, here's some protocols around assessment, better information from my assessments, better use of applications per system, like eccentric loading, tendon health, pain scores, communication around pain, like all those things, you know, that adds into the toolbox. Okay, cool. Like continue, keep going. And then it's just like, for me, it was like a bit of a use of the free space of information that is out there these days. And just like informal education was how I developed a skill set that I was passionate about. Because if you really are, there is enough information out there for you to learn without needing to go and get a degree in anything. If you are super keen on it, because I'll tell you why, because it's all on YouTube. I have picked up so much, and I've just looked at the people that I admire in the spaces, the Kelly Starretts, the Aaron Horshings, the Jordan Shallows, the Active Lights, the Dr. Sean Pasushis, right? Like, and I've messaged these people. I've talked, I've talked to them. I've done their courses. I've, tried to pick their brains as much as you can. It's not the fact that, so you see someone that's really good at, it's like my client Maggie. I look at Maggie and I said to her the other day, knowing the story of her pain and where she started not being able to lift her arm even to the side of her shoulder. And now she's, looking at competing at sort of state level weightlifting competitions. And it just made me think, if you really want it, you'll make it work, right? Like if you're that willing to work hard, but no one could ever sit there and tell her that she was God-given.
No.
She never had a God-given talent.
Yeah.
She works for everything that she's got, and it's the same sort of mentality that I sort of take into the world that I'm in that space of working with people in pain. I don't think I'm naturally good at it. I just think I'm obsessed. So this is a very long-winded answer to my question of
and you work hard. You sure call it obsession, but you've got a work ethic and you assimilate that information and apply it through training, through reps.
Reps and sets. We talk about. At the end of the day, you can have all the information, but it comes down to application and reps and sets and intention. But I guess in my long-winded summary, if you guys know me, this is going to be a standard on the podcast. But to say, what do I want to change? I think it's killing this buzzword of some things are functional and other things aren't functional. And it's been on the hot topic of the discussion, and I think it's been killed in the fitness industry that you are doing functional training and you are not doing functional training. Expand on your definition of functional, and then let's have a conversation about that. Because people, we've talked about it again, people are like, but squatting is so functional, I have to get up and down off the toilet, and it's 100% you do. But how many steps do you do in a day? Is that functional? Is walking functional? Okay, let's break down and move away from the word functional and let's think about function, right? And again, this is all coming from my course that I've just done with the Prescript crew. Huge shout out to that as a resource for coaches, as we've said, but redefining terms and looking at your clients in terms of how are they functioning, and then implementing something that is going to improve the dysfunction that you see is functional, is pushing them back to being functional in whatever aspect that they want to do. Right? And I think for me is what's one thing that I would want to change. I would want to see this almost better use of the word. And not function. Remove the all on the end of it and just go are we restoring function? Because if someone's back squatting and their pelvis is just in an absolutely terrible position and their lower back is killing them, please tell me that you don't think that that's functional. Because should they be hurting their back every time they sit on the toilet to do a poo?
No.
Right. Poos are painful enough sometimes.
Depends how many times they got to do it too.
That's my father count.
If you got a gastro bug, you're doing that a lot.
You're
doing that many times per day.
So for me, again, being in the space and the really thing that irks me sometimes is like when someone comes in and either they're being, or like people look at an aspect of training in different varieties of training and to think like something is better than something else.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, man, like everyone's just working out. Everyone's just like trying to get better. And it's well, no, another thing for us, like stepping back into the world of going into like a normal, regular Globo gym space in the World's Gym and like walking in as not the 16-year-old kid with my nipples barely covered from my V-tank stringlet and my shorts that would go up to about here, and then walking in and trying to prove to everyone that I was so macho, and actually being able to walk in, 11 years down the road, or longer than that, 13, 14 years down the road, and look in and actually look around and go like, everyone's just trying to get...
describing yourself.
Yes. Everyone is trying to be better.
Yeah.
And like, if you want to be jacked, good. There's a good thing in function of like, having a set of arms, right? That's going to support that shoulder.
Yeah.
Go for it, man. Like, what? You want to do physique things. Awesome. Good. Cool. Like, do it in a sensible way. If you want to compete, obviously there's a difference between health and fitness, and we can talk about that on another podcast, but like, go for it, Like, use a squat machine. I don't see where people get off, like, banging out everyone. Like, we have enough issues with people not exercising.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have people exercising, and then they get told that they're not doing the right thing or the most optimal way of training. You're like,
and clients having that as a barrier to entry.
Exactly.
Like, there's too much information out there, and there's too many ways that I can go about this. How should I go about this?
Yeah.
Like, and like the conviction of Instagram or social media pundits just absolutely hammering this is the way, and it's not, because it's completely dependent on the individual. And then from there it's dependent on the knowledge of their guide. And like there's so many opportunities to get that person in and to stay without just like hammering them down that scary path or continually promoting that scary path as well.
For sure. I think that's something that we could dive into more and more. But almost we'll start wrapping it up now. But again, this is going to be an opportunity for us to do what we already do, which is dribble crap and discuss all the topics that we feel are relevant.
We podcast every day.
We literally do podcasts every day. It normally happens in the car park. Yeah, we're like, see ya. I'll see you tomorrow. And then it's like 15 minutes later.
Half an
hour later talking about something. But I was just going to wrap it up and say, like, this is going to be an opportunity for us to also, like, introduce our community. We want to expand this out to, everyone that is part of the collective. And even for myself, being in it for a long time, even retouching with, people that I feel have humongous value to the community and who would be open to willing and sharing their knowledge and their insight and just getting their thoughts on this question of like, what is it that being in the industry that you would want to see improve? Not necessarily change, but like, what could be better?
What could be better?
Well, like, let's open up that conversation more and just see if we can get some consistent responses or some common thought processes going behind it. And then if that, obviously, with the main thing of rather than just talking about it, which is the point of the collective, like, can we do something about it? Can we do something in a small way that will make things better? Because I think we can all sit there and complain about it, but it's definitely now like I'd rather just start doing something for it. So I'm trying to leave someone better off, one person better off, a better coach off, or whatever, from being able to help and share and just put so much into this thing to see it go in the other direction. I think which is can be potentially where it's heading, where it's all like a mess. It's just too much information, too much going on. But anything else?
I have nothing to add.
You have nothing to add?
I'm literally sitting here thinking about intros and exits for this podcast.
This will be a bit cooler in a few.
And who we're sponsored by.
Yeah. Well, bulk nutrients. I don't know if you can see that if it's like faded out, but it's just
the man show.
Just a general hint that if you would like to sponsor this podcast, it would help me save money. Episode 1
with my kids running in the background,
we would appreciate it, but
we hope you enjoyed the entertainment window. feedback. Yeah.
All right, team.
Thanks
We'll
for
let you
tuning in.
see you in episode 2.
Take care.
See you. Peace.